Hi everyone, it's Mrs. Robinson again. We are on day 9, literal equations. So let's write in this top vocab. It's pretty important. You want it different than the rest of your equations. Literal equation, an equation that contains multiple variables. Multiple variables. Here we go. So we're going to solve number 1, solve for x, and then we're going to use the operations to solve the second one. So it's going to be important that we think about what operations to get that variable by itself. Okay, so number 1 is just a two-step equation, subtracting 5 to both sides, 3x equals 3, dividing 3 to both sides, and x equals 1. Now, this is just a regular equation. There's one variable. Now let's look at number 2. Number 2 is a little different because there's 1, 2, 3, 4 variables. Holy cow. But again, we're only going to focus on x. So I want you to think about, with the literal equation, you want to move everything else away, but you're really not getting rid of anything. You're just moving it. So think of a seating chart. When you move seats in a classroom, you're not technically leaving the classroom, you're just moving to a different seat. So let's think of what we did over here. First, we subtracted 5. Well, let's look over here. The b is by itself. It's kind of known as our constant. So we're actually going to subtract b to both sides and move it to the other side. So I have ax equals c minus b. Now, I didn't really get rid of anything. I'm just, again, transferring it, moving it to the other side. Now, again, remember what our focus is. It's to solve for x. Everything else moves by isolating and using the inverse operation, that opposite operation. Okay, so I have a times x. So what is the inverse of multiplying? It's dividing. And here we go. So I have x equals c minus b over a. That's an a. There we go. And now I've completed it. So we are not solving to find an actual answer. We are solving it to, again, get one variable by itself. So I want you to try number 3. Okay, so it says solve for b. So think about, what operations are you going to do first? So try that one and pause this video. All right, check that you got the same answer as what's on the screen. So b equals c minus a over y. It's really important you focus on, in literal equations, on what are they wanting to get by itself. All right, so now this next one, let me erase up here. So you want to find z, okay? And a few videos back, I talked about how can we get rid of x on the outside. Do we really need to distribute for this problem if we want the x to move to the other side? So think about it. How is x attached to these two? They're multiplied together. So what can I do? I can divide x now. So I have 5 over x on this side equals y plus z. All right. So then I divided the x first to both sides. And now, again, what am I getting by itself? The z. Okay, so what is the inverse of a positive y? A negative y. So then I have z equals 5 over x minus y. And if you'd like to distribute, you can. It's just going to be different steps, but you should, again, get the same answer. So literal equations, very important to get that variable by itself. All right, so now we're moving right along. I'd like you to try A and B on your own and see how those go. All right, check to make sure that you got those answers. So A was pretty awesome. You just had to move the by, the whole thing, to the other side. And then for the second problem, getting that y by itself, moving the 3x first and then dividing that -2. Be careful when you are moving. It's a -2. So remember the multiplying and dividing rules of integers. All right, so now our favorite, get some word problems done. Let's talk about real life relevancy. We're going to be using this, especially when we can travel more often about distance equals rate times time. So if you've ever asked your parents, how long is it going to take for us to get there? How many more hours? This is definitely one that we're going to be using. So it says to rewrite this equation to solve for t. So how much time is it going to take? So what do we want by itself? We want the t by itself. So we need to move this r, the rate. How fast are you going? Are you going 40 miles an hour? Or are you going 65 miles on the freeway? So we're going to divide r to both sides. So I have t now equals distance over rate. How many miles over how fast you're going. So now it's rewritten. Explain what this new equation would be used to find. How long? T stands for time. All right, now I'd like you to try this next one. A little bit more complicated. This is about potential energy of E of a spring with the spring constant of K. Constant just, again, means a number of some sort that's been stretched by a length of X. Solve the equation for K. Again, what is our focus? We are trying to get K by itself. So let's think about how would we go about this? What would we do first? So first I'm actually going to move this 1/2, okay? So what is the reciprocal of 1/2? Well, that would be 2 over 1. I'm going to multiply 2 over 1 to both sides. Now, what's important about literal equations is try to keep your information neat. This is not the time to try things in your head. It's really, you want to write things down, especially in algebra, so it doesn't get more complicated. So the 1/2 is now moved to both sides, and now I want to think, how is k, what operation connects k and x squared? Well, it's a multiplying problem, so the inverse of that would be x squared. So now that is moved, so I have 2e over x squared equals k. Now k is now by itself, and what is k? It is the spring. Okay, so now everything is on the other side. Okay, we now have two more problems to go with literal equations. You guys are doing great. I know it's pretty tricky concept, but definitely useful. I equals PRT. So if you ever going to have a credit card when you're older, if you want to buy a house or a car, you're definitely going to need to know about interest. So that's that extra money you owe. So this is something that you might have seen in 7th grade, hopefully. So the interest earned on I is on here. So now we're going to solve it for time. So again, we have to move information. We have to move some of these variables to get t by itself. We want to know, how long are you going to have this? How long are you going to have this investment? Investment, good. Saving money, putting it somewhere. Okay, so all of these together are multiplied. So we can actually take two of them at the same time. So I'm going to take principal and rate and take it to the other side. And now t is by itself. And I have interest over principal times rate. So again, this is one of those formulas that you might have seen in the past. And again, we're moving things away from t, isolating one variable. Now we're going to use that same equation for number 8. So we're going to put I is going to equal 100. P is going to equal 1,000. And the rate is going to be 5%, which is, we're going to transfer to 0.05. Okay, so I would like you to put that information into the equation and find out what is t. All right, your answer should have been 2 years. So thank you so much for watching this video and completing the notes. Please make sure that if you have any questions, to please ask us in class. Have a good one. Bye.